I want to give you a few tips on rendering. I can't promise to make you a skilled renderer so that you can do the whole side of a house, but if you want to do any patching or repair work, then what I'm going to show you now will stand you in good stead. Okay, this is a previously painted surface. It was a bit ropey, got a few cracks in it. So what I've done, the render's sound, the paint's okay, so I've gone over with Renderers Primer made by Cementone, and that will give me a key to go on to. Right, I'm going to get some stuff on the wall. I want to talk about the mix. I use lime in it rather than plasticizer, and there are good reasons for that. If you want to know why, then go to my site selfbuilder.net and I'll explain the whole thing there. I don't just want to slow this down by giving you a long-winded explanation about the mix, but it is important. Okay, so as you can see, I've got it on the wall there. I've troweled it on. I haven't worried about getting it too smooth, and what I'm doing now is just dragging a straight edge piece of timber, anything you've got that's straight, across the wall, just to take out the high spots and show up where the low spots are. So first thing, the wood float or urethane float, just gently move that around, and what you'll do then is you'll fill in the hollow spots and you'll move the high spots off. Basically like using a wood rule but on a smaller thing. Always do a scrubbing motion with it as well, because that just helps to move it. It's all about hitting the wall at the right time. If you do it when it's too soft, you'll start to take the render off. If you do it when it's too hard, it's game over. But provided the weather's not too hot, you've always got a chance with render. You can generally bring it back, even the next day sometimes. The next stage is to sponge off. Now I use this as a solid sponge from Rafina. It's actually a renderer's sponge, and again the idea of that is that you're moving the material around, but you'll notice that what's happening now is all the little cracks, all the small tiny little holes are all starting to be filled in. So that's just a nice way of finishing the surface off. There's also another one called the powder puff, which is a nice little sponge. Normally these are used internally on the plasterboard and dry lining, that kind of thing, to fill the joints in, but I kind of like them for using on render. They're a bit finer, but the great thing is that you just get yourself going with a nice swirly action like that. This is a bit damp, so you can see what it's doing. It's not a bad idea to have it damp, and you can see that it just starts to fill in all the holes, whereas that other sponge is a little bit coarse. This one's just that little bit finer. So when you've done with that, you've got to leave it a week or two generally before you decorate. I wouldn't want to go on too quickly with the paint because of the lime in the render. But this is actually a very British finish, having this sort of fine smooth render. On the continent they tend to scrape it and make holes in it and just have a more open texture, which is a bit more forgiving and a lot easier to do than this, but I kind of like this. And then what some people then do is scratch through with a spirit level to put lines to replicate block work, which is also quite nice. If you're joining to render, then having a scratch line through is a good way of hiding the join, because it's quite difficult to bring two surfaces together. Okay, so that's the job finished. Not a bad effort for a plumber really, but the important thing is to get it flat. You will notice there was a little sequence missing in that footage. That was because it got a bit dark for filming, but I came back and just rubbed it with that wood float and that straight edge just to get any ripples out of it. And do have a look on selfbuilder.net about what I've got to say about the mix, because the one thing I find over and over again is plasterers, renderers putting a really strong sand and cement mix on. That does more harm than good. It traps the moisture and it causes cracking, which is a disaster. So that's the important thing. If it's too strong, it'll crack, and that's no good. Oh, and just before I go, there's one more thing. You may notice that there's a colour variation between that first panel that I did behind the expansion joint and this one. I used the same sand, the same lime. The thing that I changed was the cement. I used a different brand of cement, and that's why we got the colour variation. So if you're doing a self-coloured job or you're doing pointing, get the cement from the same source, get enough so you don't have to change, and also the same applies for the sand. Don't change anything midstream. So that's it. I'm Roger Bisby. Thanks very much for watching. Do remember to go to our site and also maybe subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can keep updated on all the new videos, because there's lots more coming.